When you're standing in a room full of 30 students and trying to convince them that what you have to say is interesting, you need every tool in the box to hold their attention. I'm Kat Zimmerman, a member of the Patent AEDY team, and these are my top tech tips for student engagement on today's Pop-Up Practice. First, consider, what does engagement look like in your classroom? What tasks do you regularly ask students to complete? Examples include note-taking, discussions, answering lecture questions, group work, independent work, etc. For each task, what does an engaged student do that you can see during each task? Common examples include asking or answering questions, sharing ideas, or recording notes, questions, or thoughts. If you have a classroom behavior matrix, this is a great place to start. Remember that your content always comes first. Technology is a tool that helps us to teach and engage students. Whenever you're feeling unsure about your use of technology, complete the sentence, I am teaching content using technology to the purpose of the tech. For example, I am teaching data analysis using camera phones and Google Sheets to collect and model class-collected data. Getting students to engage with the lesson content and with you as a teacher can be a real challenge. Here are some ways that you can use technology to help. Switching from writing on the board or the PowerPoints that live on your desktop to an interactive format is a great place to start. Some options include Google Slides, either by itself or with the addition of an add-in like Pear Deck or Poll Everywhere, Google Jamboard, Nearpod, or Canva, which is used to make this Pop-Up Practices series. Some of these are free and some have paid models with free versions. With an interactive format, you can do things like drag and drop responses or voting. Set up a poll directly in a slide or as a poll question, depending on the tech that you choose. Students can then drag and drop their favorite emoji or voting symbol to answer the question. These are great for quick formative questions like this one, as well as responses like emotion scales, identifying what students want to learn about next, or how they feel about the content right now on a scale of I know nothing to I'm ready for the test. Sticky note responses can be made using the sticky note feature in Google Jamboard, any square shape in a slide, or the typed student response option with other software. The premise is simple. Each student picks a square and types to respond. Sticky note responses are super for keeping students engaged during a lesson by having them respond to planned questions. They're also great for sharing out after a Think, Pair, Share discussion, warm-ups on coming into the classroom, and reflections at the end of a lesson. Still struggling to get students to respond? Try the waterfall approach. Present the question and have students think for 1 to 2 minutes, then record their responses all at the same time for a waterfall effect. In some digital spaces, you can also use the chat feature for this by having students type their answers while thinking and hitting send when you say go. Sometimes that extra time to process makes all the difference in the world. As teachers, we often shy away from allowing students to interact with each other while presenting a lesson. Sometimes providing a positive outlet for that interaction can get students engaged with the lesson material and with their classmates. Here are some easily implemented options. Leave a question, take an answer, response slides. If you're using an interactive slide deck, create a space for students to place questions and allow other students to answer them. Suggest students take notes collaboratively using a shared document. Not only does this help cover absent students, it also lets them share their thoughts with a trusted group during class. Present this as an option, but remember that students may prefer to take notes on their own as well. A back chat channel allows free-range chatter during the lesson using any tech that has a chat feature. Backchat lets students ask and answer questions as well as provide commentary and thoughts throughout the lesson. At first, this seems like a terrible idea, but backchat channels provide students with a way to talk to one another virtually instead of aloud, and also provides a record of their interactions. If you try implementing a backchat, consider who will moderate the chat: a co-teacher, a paraeducator, a trusted student leader. Set and teach the behavior expectations of using the chat before you implement, and consider adding this as a column to your classroom matrix if you have one. Finally, a note that if you've ever taught in a fully virtual environment, as many did during the pandemic, you've taught using a backchat channel even if you didn't know it was there. Whatever option you choose, here's a tip. Embrace the memes. Students will include all sorts of memes and slang in their responses. This is a good thing because it means they've interpreted the content into student-friendly language. If you're not sure what a meme means, try knowyourmeme.com for help. A few final tips to get your students engaged. Students are more likely to respond in an anonymous setting, so keep it anonymous when you can. If it's not anonymous, which it may not be depending on the tech you've chosen, check that it's anonymous between students. That is, the teacher can see who said what, but students cannot. Participation grades, if you choose to use them, should be based on participation and not the accuracy of responses. If you implement participation grades, be sure students are aware of this expectation. Teach how you expect students to participate and respond. Don't assume that they'll just know. This is also true for new technology. We often assume students just know how to use technology, but direct instruction is needed for this the same as it is for your content. Thanks for joining me on today's Pop-Up Practice. Remember to like and subscribe, and check out the Pop-Up Practices playlist for more. We'll see you next time on Pop-Up Practices, where practice makes progress.